incident that was conjured up amidst all of the bad feelings I had about my summer when I was 8 years old that I did not remember until therapeutic sessions. My grandfather's sister, who lived in Colorado, Aunt Annie, was very ill. And my parents and my grandparents decided they would go out to Boulder, Colorado and help great Uncle Wilsie with Annie's care. And so we're to leave, I and my sister, in our home in Nebraska with a babysitter. Now, having a babysitter was a bit unusual in my household. It was only on rare occasions that either my mother or grandmother would be away from us and we would need it. But when we did, on those rare occasions, have a babysitter, it was Thelma Harris. Thelma's husband, John, was the butcher at Linneman's Market downtown. Thelma was a short woman with excessively black hair. I knew it was due to chemical treatment. And makeup as well. It kind of went with the same intensity. Thelma was a nice woman. She usually would come to our house to babysit. And on rare occasions, we might go to her house. Generally, my sister Jackie and I. Thelma, however, had a twin sister, Velma Case. Velma had never married. And no one in the community could tell the two apart. They looked identical, and they dressed the same, put their hair up the same. You didn't know for sure who you were talking until the conversation gave you a context. It was Thelma Harris who always did the babysitting. But you know, as a kid, I was never sure. Maybe it's Velma Case. Particularly when she came to our house. Well, Thelma was a good babysitter, so my folks entrusted me to Thelma. But figuring it was better, given the relationship I had with my sister Jackie, she went to somebody else's home. She actually went to the Pools, where she had a friend that was the same age. So I was left about 3.5 weeks with Thelma Harris, I thought. In reality, now this was due to recovered memories, I was given to Velma Case. Velma lived outside of town, just a little bit, about a mile outside of town, on the back road over to Orleans. And I was put in the car with Velma and went out to the farm and expected, well, this is going to be great. I enjoyed the farm. My family had just sort of moved into town, and she opened the door and escorted me over to the chicken pen and put me in. And my first thought was, play. I enjoyed it. I knew my way around the chicken yard. That was not a problem. It was very enjoyable. And I remember spending the afternoon playing with the chickens, having a great time. It was a whole new flock to get to know. It was a great experience. But evening came, and she didn't let me out. In fact, she came out, threw a little scratch around, and so we ate. We were into whole grains. And then nighttime came, and we were all put in the coop. I thought, well, this is just a little more than playtime. And you can see why that memory was so deeply repressed. For 3.5 weeks, I was confined with those chickens. Now, there were pluses about that, because I did enjoy time in the yard. I enjoyed chasing grasshoppers. There was a time, of course, when those teenage chickens would pick on some of us younger ones, but since I was considerably larger, I sort of developed my own game. Well, there were other adventures. Well, it was the day that the chicken hawk came. And, you know, there really is, when you get right down to it, something comforting to get at least your arm or your foot underneath the warm embrace of a mother chicken wing. Well, those were pluses. But the minuses, of course, the coop itself. Now, the nests were all nice for some of the hens, but over in the other part of the chicken farm was the perches. And those were just 2x2s, and they were kind of a lattice framework. And it took me several nights, really, to get comfortable enough to sleep on those darn perches. But I was beginning to get that feeling. There were times, I have to admit, as much as I love chicken, the smell sometimes was just pretty darn intense. I realize now, of course, my allergies to hay and straw and barnyard environments does go back to that, and I assume now that I've recovered my memory, some of that will be clearing up. Well, the whole experience was this mixture of pluses and minuses. So as the therapist has been working with me over the past several months, I'm beginning to sort that out. It was such a blessing now to have that memory in its fullness with all of its pluses and minuses, so I can begin to sort out the positive values of having lived with chickens for 3.5 weeks in the summer of '57. Well, as a matter of fact, I've begun to notice that perhaps there are other people who may have had repressed memories about their childhood and chickens. You ever seen Mick Jagger? You ever watch Carol Burnett laugh? Phyllis Diller? She cackles. Who's that hunk that you've always liked, Linda? Tom Selleck? I suspect deeply recessed in the lives of many of those celebrities and those around you too are hidden some deep traumatic encounter. You too may be suffering from PCCSS, post-chicken coop stress syndrome. And so I testify and advise you to take advantage of the counselors around you, that you too might find a way to recapture those memories and put in balance those positive and negative experiences of being cooped up. Well, there's 3 lessons that I've certainly come away with, feeling much better now. One is, eat more chicken. Appreciate the supportive flock you have around you. And tell more chicken stories.